You know those warnings you get, the ones that are so specific, so chilling, that they just stick with you? Stories whispered around a fire about a haunted road or a village that time forgot. Well, today we're going to dive right into the heart of Indian folk horror. We're going to pull apart two classic tales to really understand what makes them so terrifying and so timeless. Our investigation? It all starts with a simple warning.
So it all starts with this one line. Son, never take the old people tree road at night. It's the kind of advice you get from the village elders, right? A simple rule, but one that comes from a really dark history. And, well, you know how it goes in any good horror story. Warnings are just made to be broken.
All right, first up is case file number 1, the Peepal Road. This is the story of a man who thought he knew better than the local superstitions.
So let's meet our protagonist, Ajay. He's a city guy, visiting this small village called Rajampur. And when he hears all this talk about a haunted road, he just thinks it's ridiculous. To him, it's all just andvishwas, blind faith. He pretty much just laughs off the elders' serious warnings. He's a man of logic, not some old scary stories.
But of course, life has a funny way of testing our beliefs. The main bus service gets canceled because of heavy rain, and Ajay is in a real hurry to get home. That's when someone mentions a shortcut, the Peepal Road. And against all advice, he decides, yeah, I'm going to take it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
So there he is, walking this muddy, empty path. The only sounds are the insects and the squelch of his own footsteps. But then, something else. A faint sound, kind of carried on the wind. It's the sound of a woman, sobbing quietly, somewhere up ahead in the darkness.
His torchlight is just cutting through this thick, oppressive darkness, and it lands on a figure in a white sari, her face hidden by her long hair. Ajay, still trying to be the rational guy, calls out. But when that figure slowly lifts her head, all his logic just shatters. Her face is stained with blood, and where her eyes are supposed to be, there's just nothing.
And then she speaks. Her voice is this chilling whisper that promises there's no way out. Take me to my killer. See, this isn't just some random haunting. This is a spirit with a mission. He later finds out her name is Rudder.
Now, to really get what's happening here, we need to understand what she is. In Indian folklore, this is a classic vengeful spirit, or Atma. It's an entity that's literally tied to the place where they died a traumatic death, unable to find peace until their unfinished business, which is usually justice or revenge, is finally complete. Okay, so Ajay, terrified out of his mind, just runs, and he literally stumbles upon a local mystic, a tantric, who lays out the horrifying truth for him. See, the spirit, Radha, was murdered right on that road, and her killer, a boy named Mohan, completely eaten up by greed. But here's the kicker, the big twist. Mohan is the exact same guy who, just a few hours ago, conveniently suggested Ajay take this shortcut. Mohan shows up, pretending he's looking for Ajay, but what he's really done is walk right into Radha's trap. The roots of that ancient peepal tree snake out and grab him. And the spirit, well, she gets her revenge. His screams just fill the night, and then, complete silence. Radha's spirit is gone. Her purpose is fulfilled.
And now let's open our second case file, the Lost Village. This time, we're dealing with something a lot bigger than just a single spirit.
Our protagonist this time around is Aarush. His trip home gets cut short when he misses the last bus, and he's left totally stranded at this little isolated roadside diner, a dhaba, with nothing but thick forest on either side, and it's getting dark.
So as Aarush is sipping his tea, the owner just starts frantically closing up his shop. And it's only 5 p.m. When Aarush asks him why, the owner gives him this really creepy, vague warning. This place isn't what it seems. After sundown, no one stays here. And just like that, he leaves Aarush all by himself.
Aarush's plan seems pretty logical, right? He checks his phone, sees a village nearby, perfect place to find some shelter for the night. But the reality of what he's walking into, it's a total nightmare. The village is unnaturally dark, completely silent, and it's holding on to a terrible secret.
As Aarush gets close to this cursed village, he's stopped by a mysterious young man. His name is Kishan, who warns him to stay away. Kishan tells him this awful, tragic story about the village, all from back in 1946. It's a story about a corrupt chief, a brave father, a young couple named Rupa and Kishan, and a wedding night that ended in a horrible massacre, trapping the souls of the entire village there forever.
So Kishan leads Aarush to a safe old house to wait out the night. And after a terrifying night listening to the sounds of all these restless spirits, Aarush finally wakes up to the morning sun. The horror seems like it's over. But as he's looking around the dusty room, his eyes land on a small piece of paper.
It's an old, dusty wedding invitation, and the name's on it, Rupa with Kishan. The date is December 22nd, 1946, and that's when it hits him. The man who saved his life, the one who told him the whole tragic story, that was Kishan, the groom from that horrific night. He's been a ghost for more than 75 years.
So, okay, we've got two different stories, two different protagonists, but that feeling of dread, it's remarkably similar, isn't it? Let's break down the anatomy of these tales and see what really makes them tick.
Just look at this comparison. Both stories kick off with a warning that ultimately gets ignored. Both have a spirit, or in the second case, a whole village of spirits that are bound to the place by a tragic past. And both of those tragedies are rooted in very human evils, greed and the abuse of power.
These really are the essential ingredients. You have to have that ignored warning to set our hero on their fateful path. You need a specific haunted place, a road, a village, that kind of acts as a container for all the horror. The spirit has to have a purpose, a backstory of tragedy that makes them both terrifying and, in a way, sympathetic. And so often it ends with this form of supernatural justice that makes sure the past is never, ever forgotten.
So, why do these stories stick around? What is it about this formula that resonates so deeply, generation after generation? I think it's about way more than just a quick scare.
When it comes down to it, these ghost stories are really vehicles for something bigger. They're cautionary tales. They remind us that injustice has consequences, that some crimes are so awful they actually stain the very land where they happened. They teach us that the past is never truly dead. It's a kind of folk justice, where the dead have to rise to right the wrongs that the living couldn't.
And that really brings us to the final thought, doesn't it? The reason these stories feel so universal is because, well, they are. Every culture, every single town has its own version of the Peepal Road, its own lost village, that one place the locals tell you to stay away from after dark. So it kind of makes you wonder, do you know the story of yours?